Some breakdowns happen in an instant. Others are already in progress on your motorcycle. I'm showing you 7 silent failures that ruin rides unexpectedly. Save the last one for yourself because it's the easiest to prevent, the hardest to forgive, and the one most riders discover far too late. Number 7. Loose or missing fasteners. One of the most frustrating ways a motorcycle can let you down is also one of the easiest to prevent. A single bolt working its way loose can take an otherwise perfect ride and end it on the side of the highway. Over time, vibration slowly backs out fasteners, even on bikes that feel solid and smooth. This isn't a problem that happens overnight, it's a gradual process, and that's what makes it so easy to overlook. You hear a faint rattle or feel a small change in how the bike handles, but you chalk it up to the road surface or the wind. As the miles stack up, that looseness allows components to shift. A saddlebag might start to sag, a fender can move out of line, or a fairing begins to vibrate more than it should. On heavier touring bikes, it can even affect stability and put strain on parts that were never meant to flex. Worst of all, if a fastener completely backs out, you can lose a piece of the bike while riding. Something as minor as a bracket or as critical as a motor mount. The solution is as simple as it is overlooked. A quick visual inspection before you ride, combined with a deliberate check of high-stress mounting points, will catch most of these problems before they have the chance to strand you. Locking hardware, cotter pins, and thread locking compounds are there for a reason, and replacing any that are worn or missing should be done without delay. A loose bolt might seem harmless, but it can take a motorcycle off the road faster than any complicated failure. A few minutes spent checking hardware before a ride saves hours of frustration later. Attention to these small details is the simplest way to keep the journey alive. Many breakdowns that get blamed on bad luck or cheap parts are really the result of a fastener that was slowly working its way out for hundreds of miles. By making bolt checks part of your maintenance routine, you not only keep the bike together, you keep yourself safer and more confident on every ride. This is a reason that has nothing to do with technology or engineering flaws. It's purely a matter of attention and discipline, and ignoring it has sidelined more riders than any complicated mechanical failure ever could. From tiny bolts to boiling engines, the next issue shows how heat, neglect, and a simple oversight can end a ride. If you've ever been stranded for a reason you didn't see coming, hit that like button and share your story in the comments. Your experience might save another rider from the same fate, and it helps us keep bringing you the real-world tips that keep bikes running. Number 6. Overheating from cooling system neglect. Few things will end a ride faster than watching the temperature gauge climb past safe limits. Overheating is not only uncomfortable for the rider, it is brutal on the engine. Yet one of the most common causes of this problem has nothing to do with defective parts or bad design. It comes down to riders neglecting the cooling system until it fails. Coolant is not a fill it and forget it fluid. Over time, it breaks down, loses its ability to transfer heat effectively, and can even cause corrosion inside the engine. Hoses are another weak point. A small crack or soft spot can turn into a full rupture under pressure, dumping coolant on the pavement in seconds. Radiators can clog with debris or develop slow leaks that go unnoticed until it is too late. Even a thermostat that sticks closed can trigger a rapid rise in temperature and leave you stranded. These problems rarely happen without warning. Low coolant levels, small drips on the garage floor, or a sweet smell after a ride are all early signs that trouble is coming. Neglecting these warnings can lead to serious and expensive damage. An overheated engine can warp cylinder heads, blow head gaskets, and scar piston walls. Once that happens, you are no longer talking about a quick roadside fix, you are looking at major repairs or a complete rebuild. What started as a simple maintenance step like a coolant flush or hose replacement becomes a costly lesson in why preventive care matters. The best way to avoid overheating is to treat the cooling system like the vital component it is. Check coolant levels regularly, inspect hoses for any signs of wear, and make sure the radiator is clean and free of obstructions. Replacing coolant on schedule keeps the system working at peak efficiency and helps prevent internal corrosion. Carrying out these small checks before a long ride can save you from being stuck in the middle of nowhere waiting for a tow while your engine cools off. An ignored cooling system slowly builds toward disaster. A cracked hose, low coolant, or clogged radiator can sideline even the most dependable motorcycle. Routine inspections and timely maintenance keep temperatures in check, preserve engine health, and ensure the only heat you feel comes from the road ahead. Overheating from cooling system neglect is a preventable failure that happens far too often. It is not caused by riding too hard or owning the wrong bike. It is caused by overlooking a system that quietly does its job every mile you ride. Take care of it, and it will keep you moving. Ignore it, and sooner or later the heat will catch up with you. Shifting from internal heat to road contact, our next reason proves ignoring what meets the pavement can be equally disastrous. Preparation beats luck every time. Check the description for the gear we trust to keep rides safe and comfortable, because the right setup can save your day. Number 5. Neglecting tire health. Your tires are the only contact point between your motorcycle and the road, yet they are often the most overlooked part of the machine. Riders will obsess over paint, chrome, or exhaust sound while ignoring the very thing that keeps them upright. Neglecting tire health is not just about worn tread, it covers a wide range of problems that can quietly build until they lead to a breakdown, or worse. Cupping, uneven wear, sidewall cracks, punctures, and chronic underinflation are all silent threats that rob a tire of its grip and reliability. One of the most dangerous situations is running a tire until it is bald. Without proper tread depth, water cannot be dispersed effectively, and traction in wet conditions drops sharply. Add in a hot summer day and an overloaded bike, and you have the perfect recipe for a blowout at speed. Sidewall cracks are another hidden hazard, especially on bikes that spend more time parked than ridden. Rubber dries out over time, and even if the tread looks fine, the structural strength can be compromised. Underinflation is a common cause of premature tire failure. A tire running at low pressure generates excessive heat, and that heat breaks down the internal structure from the inside out. Overinflation is not much better. It reduces the contact patch, making the bike feel unstable and increasing the risk of uneven wear. Even the best tire will degrade if it is not checked regularly. Neglecting tire health does more than risk a flat. It affects handling, braking, and rider confidence. A bike with compromised tires will not corner predictably, and stopping distances will increase. These changes may be subtle at first, but they become critical in an emergency situation where every foot of stopping space counts. What might have been a safe ride can turn into a dangerous one simply because the tires were not maintained. Preventing tire-related breakdowns is straightforward. Inspect your tires before every ride. Look for any foreign objects, cuts, bulges, or signs of unusual wear. Check air pressure with a reliable gauge and adjust it to the manufacturer's recommendation for your load and riding conditions. Replace tires that are worn past their safe limit or that show signs of age, even if the tread looks acceptable. A tire's condition is not just about mileage, it is about overall integrity. Tires connect you to the road and keep every ride safe. Worn tread, low pressure, or hidden cracks turn them into a liability. Regular inspections and proper inflation transform tires from a weak point into a trusted ally, carrying you confidently through every mile in every condition. Neglecting tire health is a mistake that is easy to make but even easier to avoid. It takes only a few minutes to check pressures and give the rubber a quick inspection, yet many riders skip this step for months at a time. The result can be a stranded bike, a dangerous loss of control, or a high-speed failure with serious consequences. Your tires are your lifeline. Treat them that way, and they will carry you safely through every mile. We move from tires to the heart of the engine, where neglecting one basic fluid quietly destroys performance mile after mile. Number 4. Skipping oil changes. Oil is the lifeblood of any motorcycle engine, and skipping oil changes is one of the most common and costly mistakes a rider can make. Fresh oil lubricates moving parts, carries away heat, and traps contaminants that would otherwise grind away at critical components. Over time, that oil breaks down. It loses its protective qualities, becomes contaminated with dirt and metal particles, and turns into a thick, abrasive sludge. When a rider stretches the change interval far beyond what the manufacturer recommends, or worse, ignores it entirely, the engine begins to wear from the inside out. The danger with skipping oil changes is that the damage is not immediate. The bike will usually keep running, giving the impression that nothing is wrong. In reality, internal parts like bearings, cam lobes, and piston rings are wearing faster with every mile. Dirty oil cannot maintain the thin film needed to separate metal surfaces under load, and without that protection, heat and friction climb rapidly. The result can be scored cylinder walls, seized components, or a complete engine failure that arrives without warning. Some riders try to justify long oil change intervals by saying they do not ride often or only take short trips. Unfortunately, that can be even harder on the oil. Short rides do not allow the engine to reach full operating temperature long enough to burn off moisture and fuel contaminants. Over time, these impurities accumulate in the oil and accelerate the breakdown process. Whether you ride daily or only a few weekends a year, the oil still ages and still needs to be replaced on schedule. Another common oversight is ignoring the oil filter. The filter traps much of the debris circulating through the engine, but once it is clogged, oil bypasses it completely. That means every contaminant picked up from worn parts, combustion byproducts, and dust drawn through the air, intake is now circulating freely. Changing the oil without changing the filter is like washing your hands with dirty water. It defeats the purpose entirely. Avoiding this type of breakdown is simple, inexpensive, and far less trouble than repairing an engine damaged by neglect. Keep track of your mileage and the date of your last oil change. Follow the recommended service intervals and adjust for riding conditions. Extreme heat, dusty roads, and frequent stop-and-go riding all demand more frequent changes. Always replace the filter at the same time as the oil and use the grade and type of oil specified for your bike. Oil changes are the simplest way to guarantee long engine life. Dirty, degraded oil grinds away at moving parts until the damage is irreversible. Staying on top of this basic task preserves performance, prevents costly repairs, and keeps the engine ready to respond every time you twist the throttle. Skipping oil changes is not a harmless cost-saving measure. It is a slow but certain way to shorten the life of an otherwise reliable machine. The damage happens quietly, mile after mile, until one day the engine makes its last turn. Treating oil changes as a non-negotiable part of ownership ensures your bike runs smoothly, stays dependable, and delivers the performance it was built to give. Neglect this, and it is only a matter of time before the engine pays the price. Leaving the crankcase, we focus on the final drive, where ignoring maintenance can snap your connection to the road instantly. Number 3. Ignoring chain or belt maintenance. Chains and belts are the final link between your engine and the rear wheel, and ignoring their maintenance is a mistake that has left countless riders stranded. A chain needs regular cleaning, lubrication, and adjustment to stay in top condition. A belt may require less frequent attention, but it still demands periodic inspection for cracks, fraying, or alignment issues. When riders neglect these simple tasks, the result can be catastrophic. A chain that is too loose can jump a sprocket or snap under load, while a neglected belt can shred or strip teeth without warning, instantly cutting power to the wheel. The danger of ignoring chain maintenance begins with dirt and moisture. Road grime and water work their way into the links, displacing lubricant and allowing rust to form. Without lubrication, friction increases, causing the chain to stretch prematurely. A stretched chain will no longer sit properly on the sprockets, wearing them down faster and creating a cycle of damage. For belt-driven bikes, small stones or debris can embed in the belt or pulley, damaging the fibers and setting the stage for sudden failure. Tension is another critical factor. A chain that is too tight will place constant strain on the transmission output shaft, wheel bearings, and the chain itself, while a belt that is misaligned or improperly tensioned can wear unevenly and fail long before its expected lifespan. In both cases, the signs of trouble are often visible. Rust spots, stiff links, cracked belt edges, or shiny wear patterns on sprocket teeth. Ignoring these warnings is simply gambling with your ride. The consequences of a failure at speed are serious. A broken chain can whip into the frame, engine case, or even the rider's leg, causing injury and expensive damage. A failed belt may not have the same destructive whip, but it will still bring the motorcycle to an immediate halt, often far from help. Both types of failure can be avoided with minimal time and effort in the garage. Preventing this kind of breakdown starts with regular inspections. For chains, that means checking slack according to the manufacturer's specifications, cleaning off built-up grime and applying a quality chain lubricant that resists fling-off. For belts, it means looking for surface damage, ensuring proper alignment, and verifying tension with the correct tools. Making these checks part of your routine, especially before long trips, provides peace of mind and keeps your drive system running smoothly. A neglected chain or belt quietly works toward failure with every mile. Lubrication, correct tension, and regular inspection are all it takes to keep power flowing smoothly to the wheel. A few minutes in the garage today prevents a dangerous and expensive breakdown far from home tomorrow. Ignoring chain or belt maintenance is not just about risking an inconvenient breakdown, it is about risking safety. When that final drive fails, all the horsepower in the world becomes useless. A few minutes spent on care today can save hours of trouble tomorrow, ensuring that every twist of the throttle translates into forward motion and not into the sinking feeling of coasting to a stop on the side of the road. Number 2. Letting fuel go bad. Fuel is often treated as a simple, dependable part of motorcycle ownership. You fill the tank, twist the throttle, and go. But gasoline does not stay fresh forever. When a motorcycle sits unused for weeks or months, that fuel begins to break down. Modern blends with ethanol are particularly prone to absorbing moisture from the air, which leads to phase separation, corrosion, and varnish deposits inside the fuel system. Riders who let their bike sit with a full tank of untreated fuel often discover too late that it has turned from a clean, combustible liquid into a sticky, damaging mess. Regularly riding the bike is also an effective preventative measure, as fresh fuel is constantly cycling through. Visual inspections help as well. Looking inside the tank with a light can reveal early signs of rust or varnish. A healthy fuel system smells clean and sharp. Stale fuel has a sour, varnish-like odor that is easy to identify once you have encountered it. Catching and addressing these early signs can save hours of labor and hundreds of dollars in parts. Old fuel quietly destroys performance and damages components from the tank to the injectors. Stabilizing fuel or draining the system before storage protects your motorcycle from varnish, corrosion, and clogged parts. Fresh fuel ensures every start is strong, every ride is smooth, and every mile is worth taking. Letting fuel go bad is a failure caused entirely by inaction. The motorcycle itself has no control over what sits in its tank, only the rider does. By taking simple steps to keep fuel fresh, you protect the heart of the machine from avoidable harm. It is one of the easiest maintenance tasks to perform, yet neglecting it has sidelined more bikes than many riders care to admit. Fresh fuel means a willing engine, and a willing engine means more time on the road and less time in the garage. We move from stale fuel to a silent electrical killer, one that stops rides cold before the engine even fires up. If you want to stay ahead of the hidden problems that sideline good motorcycles, subscribe now. Every week, we uncover the truths most riders learn too late. Hit that button so your next ride stays on the road and never ends with a walk back home. Number 1. Dead or neglected battery. Few things will stop a ride before it even begins faster than a dead battery. You turn the key, hit the starter, and hear nothing but a click. Or worse, complete silence. The truth is, battery failure is one of the most common and most preventable reasons a motorcycle will not run. Many riders assume that as long as the bike starts today, the battery must be fine, but this small component is constantly aging, losing capacity, and becoming more vulnerable to failure. Neglecting it for too long is almost guaranteed to leave you stranded. Batteries deteriorate naturally over time, and most have a reliable service life of only 3 to 5 years under normal use. Letting a bike sit for weeks or months without riding is the fastest way to shorten that lifespan. When a battery remains in a discharged state, sulfation builds on the lead plates inside, reducing its ability to hold a charge. Even sealed, maintenance-free batteries are not immune to this process. Add in cold weather, which slows the chemical reactions inside, and you have a perfect recipe for a no-start situation the moment you want to ride. Loose or corroded terminals are another overlooked cause of failure. Corrosion forms a barrier that resists the flow of electricity, so even a battery with plenty of charge may not be able to deliver it to the starter. On the road, a charging system fault, like a failing stator or regulator, can leave the battery undercharged, slowly draining it until the bike stalls mid-ride. Many riders do not notice the symptoms early, such as dimming lights or a slower crank speed, until the battery is already too weak to recover. The prevention here is straightforward but requires consistency. Keep battery terminals clean and tight, inspect them regularly, and apply a light coating of dielectric grease to slow corrosion. If the bike will sit for more than a week or two, connect a smart battery tender that maintains an optimal charge without overcharging. In climates with cold winters, consider removing the battery entirely during storage and keeping it on a tender indoors. Testing the battery's voltage and health periodically, especially before long trips, can reveal weakening performance before it becomes a roadside problem. Replacement should not be delayed once a battery shows signs of failing to hold a charge. Waiting until it dies completely may also cause strain on the charging system, as it works harder to revive a battery that is past its service life. Choosing a quality replacement matched to the bike's specifications ensures strong starts and reliable power for accessories. A healthy battery is the silent promise that your bike will start when you need it to. Simple habits like using a tender, keeping terminals clean, and replacing an aging unit on time keep the power ready. Ignore it, and the ride ends before it ever begins. A dead or neglected battery is rarely the result of bad luck. It is almost always the result of slow, steady decline that could have been spotted and stopped with a little attention. The battery may be one of the smallest parts of a motorcycle, but it is the key to every ride. Give it regular care and it will give you dependable starts. Ignore it and it will remind you at the most inconvenient time possible that the ride is over before it began. These reasons may be simple, but they have stranded more riders than any high-tech failure because small neglects always grow big. Every breakdown on this list had one thing in common. It could have been prevented. The difference between riding and pushing often comes down to attention, not luck. If these tips hit close to home, take action today. Like this video so more riders can avoid the same mistakes. Drop a comment with the breakdown you'll never forget. It might help someone else dodge it. And if you want more straight talk that keeps your bike alive and your miles trouble-free, subscribe now. We ride together and we keep each other moving forward. Your next ride starts with preparation.